Lions there sponsored a big baseball tournament, and I did the games on the radio, and the Lions were heavily involved, and I just thought, gee, they had a lot of fun. They did lots of good things in the community, and I kind of remembered that. And then in 1967, I moved to Toppenish, and I got invited to a Lions Club meeting, and the Toppenish Lions met on a Monday night once a month, and I got invited to the meeting, and they had such a good time, and they liberally shared the wet napkin, and I thought that was a great organization to be a part of, and they gave a lot back to the community. So that's in 1967 is when I joined Lions, and then I went through all the projects, and the Lions there had a number of projects that they worked on. They built and paid for a really nice park, not quite as big as the one we have at Cirrhosis, a shelter in a park, and a lot of things that they gave back to the community. So it was a great organization, plus we had a lot of fun, a lot like we have here in our club. And then in '73 I moved to the Dalles and transferred to the Dalles Lions Club, and fit right in. It's a great organization. And for a year I moved to Seattle and was in the broadcasting business there, and I transferred to the University Lions Club in Seattle. They met once a week. Marv Harshman, the basketball coach for the Huskies, was a member of the Lions Club, and it was a great organization. And they did a few things that I thought were pretty unique. One of them was the birthday thing that we do, and another one was the dollar for the moment of happiness, which when I moved back a year later to the Dalles, we began to do that here. So that's kind of the history, and it's all about giving back. I remember that a Lion in Toppenish, Clint Jones, who ran an insurance agency, he was always saying that everyone takes something from the town they live in, and we all have an obligation to give back. And he said that the Lions, it's a great organization to give back, and it still is, and as you can see all the projects we're involved with, we give back handsomely to the community.
What was your favorite fundraising activity?
Oh man, that's an interesting one. We've done a lot of things. I always used to enjoy the light bulb sale and the broom sale. I'm seeing a few nods in the room from the members of the Lions Club. We used to do that project, and we'd knock on doors, but it was a great project we did. I'd like to see us maybe look at redoing that again, but maybe change the way the project is done. I enjoyed the State Metro series and rubbing elbows with all of you over the years. The baseball series, that was a good one. I like all of the projects that we do. I try to involve myself in as many of them as I can. That's possible.
Do you have a favorite community project that we do?
Favorite community project we do? Well, it'll be one that we're still doing. So it would have to be the cruise. And I enjoy trying to stay out of the smoke cooking burgers with Lion Kilkenny and all the rest of you. We have a great time doing that project, and the drags are fun. One of the things that I really enjoy is the friendships and the long-lasting relationships that you build by being a member of the Lions Club. I enjoy that. I enjoy, working on the food line at the Salvation Army, and the canned food drive is another great project. I mean, we do so many things. Christmas tree pickup project. I remember in the early years we used to build a bonfire and then we'd light it up, but DEQ had a heart attack over that one, and so we ended up having to mulch the Christmas trees. But I can remember throwing the match on, watching the guys from a distance light the tree, and then we burned taillights out of the back of cars, and they decided that there was a better way to do it. He's the one. I mean, all of you who knew him, I mean, he was a lion from the beginning to the end. I mean, he had a great sense of humor. Lion Ted was a terrific guy. A lot of the things that we do as a club, I remember Lion Ted Walker. I mean, he had a great I mean, he was always pulling a stunt on someone, and you know, some of the things that we do are really typical of Lion Ted. He was a believer in giving back. Lion Dewey Harris would fit that category as well. You know, you start to Lion Don Hall. I mean, I love to hear him talk because you just never know what he's going to say next. And I think that he doesn't know what he. I mean, it's sort of like Lion Bob and I talk about working without a script. It's like working without a safety net. Who even cares if you have one or you don't even need one? You know, those are things that we did. I never will forget. It's a great story about Lion Ted. We had a big community recognition of Ted Walker. Shortly before he died, it was a Ted Walker roast, and it was the whole community was invited to it. We held it at the Recreation, where the club met downtown. Incidentally, we used to have about 75 members at a noon luncheon pretty consistently. And we had this roast, and we had this setup where I was one of the tail twisters, and I had a pair of scissors. And so we had 2 or 3 of the lions wore ugly ties because we were going to cut them off. You know, sort of like Lion Ryan, at first when he got installed at the Lions Club meeting, Lion Jim, who was the president, and I had it set up that he was going to wear an ugly tie and I was going to cut it off as a tail twister. And Lion Ryan was standing there and he watched it, and his eyes got as big as golf balls. And I never did tell him for months that it was a setup. But anyway, that's just kind of, it's still tied. You said, don't even think about that. See, look, those are some of the things. Those are some of the things that Lion Ted brought to the community and gave to the club, and we used to cut ties off as a regular part of the meeting. We don't do that nearly as often, but that's one of the late Lion Ted Walker's thing.
I think Ken would be in trouble. He's about the only one wearing a tie. How would you like to be remembered as a lion?
Well, I knew you were going to ask that, and I was telling Lion Karen over there, I said, it's interesting because we're talking about how I want to be remembered, which is, you know, as you get older, you begin to think about that. I want to be remembered as the guy who always called Lion Bob Duran on his cell phone, and Lion Bob is part of the plot because he knows it's coming. As a give back to the community, you know, I think that we all take things from the community. It's about returning it, putting back and giving back, you know. And I think sometimes that, except for a Lions Club meeting, and our lives can be pretty high test and can be, you know, difficult. We all go through things. And, you know, one of the nice things about coming to a Lions Club meeting is sitting down and knowing that sooner or later Lion Terry is going to lose the bell and the gavel. And in the midst of all this, we're going to have a great time, and it will make us want to come to the meeting. And I think I would like to be remembered as having a good time in the Lions and doing a lot of work to help the community be a better place to live. And truly, the Lions do serve. The motto is, we serve. I mean, just look at the things that we're involved in. Do you think that we serve? Absolutely, we serve.